Mass Effect 3, a game we all know about, and this man knows more than most of us about it. It's the end of an era, really. The game is due out, when this appears, will be due out in under 24 hours. How does it feel to finally put that final stamp on it?
It feels really good. We're just really looking forward to people playing it. We've been finished it for a while, and we want to get people playing it because I think they're going to find everything that they wanted out of the Mass Effect 3 experience is right there in the game.
Now, obviously enough, the demo went live a few weeks ago and gave people a chance not only to get hands-on with, well, hands-off, should I say, with the Kinect, but also with the multiplayer. What have you been very interested to see what the feedback has been from people getting hands-on?
Yeah, absolutely. We've had millions of downloads of the demo, which is amazing. And the feedback has been really, really positive, both for the multiplayer and the Kinect, in addition to the kind of single-player story that we were kind of hoping people would enjoy, and the other two were kind of the wild cards. But we're really glad that people are having fun.
Just sort of to talk about the demo for a second. Obviously enough, it was different segments of the game. We had the opening as well as a segment from later on in the game. How do you guys decide, or is that entirely up to you, what would appear in the demo?
Yeah, it's something that we design as a team to figure out, how do we give you a good sample of what the game's going to be about. So the demo is part of the early experience in the game, and then single-player kind of mission from later in the game, so you know what that's about, just in terms of not being, that introductory experience, and then the multiplayer component.
Obviously not for the game due out. What are you guys doing at the moment? I'm imagining you guys relaxing, feet up, just watching every forum and blog going just to see the reviews roll in?
There's a lot of hard work going on, partly because we're getting ready to support the launch. It's a very online game, and we want to make sure that we are on top of the launch of the multiplayer in the live game, and so we're just kind of trying to stay on top of things. And some people are able to take holidays and whatever, but generally we're around trying to make sure everything goes smoothly.
Now, with rolling in the online component into Mass Effect 3, obviously enough, come launch, there might be expectations for things maybe to go smoothly or not too smoothly. Are you guys prepared have you guys a checklist of things that could potentially go wrong and to solve it?
Yeah, I mean, it's a very complex business now, so we have many really, really awesome teams that handle different parts of the process, and we're on multiple platforms. We've got multiplayer, so it's going to be very complicated as a launch for us, but we've got some amazing people on it.
And where are you guys going forward now? Now, obviously enough, Mass Effect as a franchise isn't finished, but this feels like trilogy as it is. This will certainly end this particular part of the franchise. Have you guys got a mind of where next in terms of the franchise, just generally?
Well, we're going to be supporting Mass Effect 3, kind of over the coming year. We've got single-player stuff coming out. We've got multiplayer stuff coming out. So we'll have lots of new things for players to do. And then, after that, we just really want to see what people think about Mass Effect 3 and absorb that for a while and think about what we would want to do next. We don't have any plans yet because we need to know what players want out of the Mass Effect universe next.
And what have you thought about with the multiplayer going live? Can you sort of give us a bit more detail about what we should expect on the horizon?
In terms of the multiplayer experience, obviously, in terms of content for multiplayer, part of it is maps, part of it is weapons. And one of the really cool things about our multiplayer is that you do get to play very different classes, very different aliens and species and stuff like that. So we really want to broaden and expand all of that stuff going forward.
And just sort of, we're talking about the story of Mass Effect 3. Obviously, there's events, there's decisions that players have ruled on from Mass Effect 1, 2, 3. How much of a headache is it for you guys to work out, okay, we have to say, okay, there's a decision made here that will affect this particular part, even at the when you're starting to make the game to begin with?
Yeah, it's a kind of a unique art form, actually, writing for truly interactive storytelling. And it's something that our writers have gotten good at over many games of kind of learning how to do this. But it's kind of like screenwriting, where there's an economy to how you write your words. You build in acting as part of your, and stage direction as part of your writing. But you also build in something else, which is what the player has done inside that story or even in previous games. And they're able to look at whatever variables they want. So they can say, were you mean to a guy who wanted your autograph 2 games ago? And if so, then someone might say a different line, or there might be a different plot, and they can, so they have to really think about how things are different, not just how they tell a great story, but how things are different about that story based on what you've done.
Does that free you up in a way that you almost have a story arc already projected from Mass Effect 1 and 2? Or is it more limiting almost in a way because you realise there's certain things that have happened or have to have happened for Mass Effect 3 to continue?
Well, I think we have kind of the best of all worlds because on the one hand, we knew where we were going on a high level in the series. So we didn't have to invent these big story arcs and stuff. They were already there. But we could be more creative and flexible in how we flesh those things out based on feedback and what people want more of and what we want to try. So we had that. And then it also allows us to do something that you can't do with movies or books or anything, where we can make a part 3 that for new players feels like a part 1. Because one of the things that it knows about you as a player is whether you've played Mass Effect 1 or 2. And if you're new to the series, it actually introduces itself to you in a different way than it does for existing players who are importing their save games.
Now, we obviously can't talk about endings or anything like that because, well, players have still got to work their way through it. But do you guys feel satisfied in yourselves for whatever conclusion Mass Effect 3 brings the player and brings yourselves?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's certain things we wanted to make sure people experienced. We wanted to give closure on a lot of the high-level story arcs, but I think one of the things people aren't necessarily expecting is that they get closure on how they feel, as being Commander Shepard. And it'll be interesting to see how players, experience that because Shepard's made a lot of sacrifices over the course of the series. And the emotion of that is something that we let players play with in Mass Effect 3.
Well, so you're saying about sort of making some very heavy choices throughout the series. Does it feel like you have to darken the tone even more because there can possibly be no light at the end of the tunnel with all this horrendous stuff happening? And obviously enough, the game opens with what you imagine to see at the end of a game or a film.
Yeah, I mean, there's an opportunity for us to go to a lot of darker places with Mass Effect 3. And then to balance that, we've got some really great humor in there as well. So there are a lot of times when we lighten things up with some great humor characters. Some of them are new characters, and then even we tried to look at World War II and World War II movies as a reference for how if you were to go into a bar, how can you have a bar when there's just universal war? Well, there's a lot of reference for that in World War II. What's a town like when it's occupied by the enemy, and how does that actually work? So we tried to use real life references where we could, so that there can still be life and things to do that are not fighting, even though you're in the context of a total war.
I think it was a question that was posed after we actually went hands-on with the demo. That if Earth's being completely ravaged and it's almost on a timer, where's the chance to actually sit and just have a moment to relax, a moment to sort of expand beyond the objective of saving Earth from the Reapers?
Yeah, and that's part of the challenge and part of the storytelling is figuring out how do you have these moments. What's the context for a relationship when there is universal war and there is kind of a ticking clock that the less you spend trying to fight the war, are you kind of costing something else, costing your ability to win. And part of that's different with 3 versus the other ones is it's not just what Shepard's doing. There's a war of billions of people. So as Commander Shepard, you can have a little bit of downtime because you're not the only one fighting. And Mass Effect 1 or 2, it was kind of almost a Star Trek type story where you and your ship are flying around trying to stop the evil that's going on. But this is kind of more of a World War II story, and there is there is a context for why the fighting is happening, whether you're doing something or not, and maybe the small thing that you're doing is part of what is going to be the tipping point that's going to help you win.
What do you feel the legacy is for Mass Effect in the games industry?
Well, I think part of what people will remember Mass Effect for as a series is really entering the world of digital acting and trying to connect with people on an emotional level through virtual characters, and showing how you can do that, and that you can create a character that fans want to have a romance with, even though it's an alien character and there are no discernible human features, but the character building and the acting is there, and it connects with you on an emotional level. And I think what I'm really excited about is the fact that Mass Effect 3 takes that aspect even further than we've done before.
And just in conclusion, I guess, since we're wrapping things up on Mass Effect as a series, what's been your personal highlight from the series? Be it something in the game or something whilst you've been working on the game?
I think one of my highlights for sure was working with Martin Sheen on Mass Effect 3. We really wanted the Elusive Man to get to the kinds of places that we've seen Martin Sheen at in movies like Apocalypse Now and Wall Street, where he kind of goes to 11 with his voice and his performance, and he went there for us, and he did it so well. It was a true honor to work with him and to see such a professional, and the fact that he is excited about the Elusive Man, and he loves that character, and he revels in it, and that was fun to be a part of, because he is so generous about giving us the performance that this character needed at the very end of this series.
Well, I think that's about all the time we've got for, so thank you very much indeed. Really looking forward to playing it.